Welcome back. Issues of drug use remain a problem for many New Yorkers. The New York City Office of Nightlife is addressing this issue with Intro 56, the Narcan Behind Every Bar campaign. Here to tell us more about the campaign and how it could save more New Yorkers is Executive Director of the New York City Hospitality Alliance, Andrew Rigie. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Now, as we know, or many of us know, the presence of drug use, specifically fentanyl, in New York City has affected, our home tremendously. Can you just give us a little bit of background on that?
Sure. Well, drug addiction, overdose, it is a crisis. And unfortunately, in addition to some of these very dangerous addictive drugs, they're being cut with fentanyl, which increases the chance of overdose and death. And this is a significant issue, not just here in New York City, but really around the country. And the city's nightlife industry, feels a responsibility to try to be supportive because we recognize we are our city's social spaces. And if we can play a role in trying to, save a life, we want to step up and we want to do that.
Now, can you tell me a little bit more about Intro 56?
Sure. So originally, this program started through the city's Office of Nightlife, which was a Narcan Behind Every Bar campaign, which would go out and give Narcan, what is a opioid reversal medicine that could reverse an overdose and save a life to bars. They would offer training, and it was a really great policy. But a big, kudos to Council Member Osei and Council Member Powers, who have now sought with Intro 54 to codify this policy, this program from the Office of Nightlife into city law, to establish it, to make sure that it will remain here for many, many years, and add more support, more training to businesses. So what a bar will be able to do when this law is hopefully very soon signed into law is they would be able to request Narcan, this medicine. They could then receive training for their employees to administer the life-saving medication should someone be having an overdose, not because they necessarily even did drugs inside the premise, but possibly before, and then they enter the premise. Think about how restaurants have CPR kits, in case of an emergency to help save a life. We view this as an extension of that.
Now, I want to talk a little bit more just about the campaign, and it's starting. Can you tell us a little bit more about, your organization and how you guys knew, or that detail that moment when you guys knew this was something that you definitely wanted to be a part of?
Yeah, so the New York City Hospitality Alliance, we represent the city's restaurant and nightlife industries. So we advocate for them in the halls of government about different policies to help these small businesses succeed, to help remove barriers to entrepreneurship, cut the red tape, cut the bureaucracy that so many of our small businesses deal with. And it gives us the opportunity to be really uniquely situated to work within the halls of government, but also work within the nightlife and the restaurant industry and learn about what they need. And something that's really been happening over the years, and I think over the past couple of years, the level of consciousness has raised about how can we play as a nightlife industry a more proactive role in supporting not only our employees and our customers, but really society as a whole when it comes to issues that plague our society. Our local restaurants and bars are always, supporting the local softball team. They're doing fundraisers. They're donating food to help feed hungry New Yorkers, and recognizing that drug addiction and overdose is a crisis. We wanted to see how we could play a role in supporting folks and saving lives, particularly in the nightlife scene where we know people come in and they may not be addicts or addicted to a drug, but they may be just going out one night and experimenting and doing something. And especially if something's cut with fentanyl or one of these other drugs, trying to reverse an overdose is very, very important to us.
Well, I'm really glad that you mentioned that because I wanted to know. At first, I thought it was a little, I was surprised by the fact that, the city wanted to launch this campaign in restaurants or bars instead of health facilities or even community centers. I initially thought that maybe, nightlife, maybe there was some sort of connection. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the locations, whether they're health centers or other community centers, should be providing these types of, life-saving medications and be providing information and education and training. No different from CPR kits or EpiPens when people have a allergic reaction. So I think this is an extension of it. Obviously, we're talking about narcotics here, so that can often take on a greater, conversation about what's right, what's wrong. Our feeling is, we're not in the business of getting into why people are doing specific drugs, what the outcome is. We just know that this is an issue that plagues our society. Our bars, our nightclubs, our restaurants are our social spaces. And sometimes people do take drugs at or when they're going to a venue. And if we should save a life, that should be the most important thing. We can deal with all those other societal issues separately, but we feel that there's a responsibility there. So, we hope that other types of venues and government continues to address this in various ways. But if we can play one, I don't want to say small, but very important role in saving even one life, in our opinion, it's worth it.
Now, I'm curious to know how will the campaign also help those who work in bars? I'm curious to know, the people who work in these establishments, are they having to face people who come in and maybe they're under the influence or anything like that?
Yeah, we heard from workers in the nightlife community that this was something that was really important to them. Some people have lost friends, they've lost family to overdose, and it's something very meaningful. This is a voluntary program. This is not something that is mandated. We also understand, it's very scary to witness someone who may be, overdosing, and it could be intimidating trying to administer the life-saving medication as well. So it's a certainly sensitive subject. It needs to be dealt with delicately, but we can't shy away from dealing with the real issues that our society is facing. And that's why, as part of this legislation, in the introduction, as well as what the Office of Nightlife has been doing, it provides the training and education to nightlife workers. So if they are ever put in a situation where they need to make a decision, at least they are prepared, at least they are trained to do everything they possibly can to try to save a life. And, many folks want to step up if they're ever faced with that position. Hopefully they never would be, of course.
Now, I believe you mentioned that it's not mandatory, right? Can you just explain how do we actually get this in the restaurants and in the bars if it's not mandatory?
Absolutely. So currently, you can reach out to the city's Office of Nightlife and learn more about the program. This legislation will create a new vehicle where there'll be additional promotion. The city's Office of Nightlife will work with the city's health department, and businesses, if you're a bar owner or a nightclub or restaurant owner, can contact the city. They can learn more about the program. They can learn more about the life saving medication. They can learn more about the training. And then they can submit a request and they get a response from someone in the city who is a technical expert on these issues. They can answer any questions they have. They can explain what the process looks like. And then they can actually go and they can train their employees so they're prepared to administer the medication, and they will deliver, the medication so it is on premise at the venue. So just like someone may have a CPR kit, a business right now, they would have this, medication there as well if the need to administer it occurred.
Now, can you just explain? I know there's a lot of stigma around anything related to drugs, really. Can you just explain, maybe for someone who's worried or concerned, will this at all change their dining experience or, their experience with a bar?
No, no, no. I mean, I would put it like this. This is not coming in and telling people to do drugs or anything. It's like someone was eating in a restaurant right now and they started choking, or something happened where they needed to utilize a CPR kit to resuscitate someone. This is similar in the sense that if someone came into the restaurant and they overdosed, they would certainly administer this medicine to help them save a life. It's something that obviously is happening way too much with addiction and overdoses in our society. It's not like it's happening in bars and restaurants all the time and it's a regular experience, but should there be an experience, there's an opportunity to save a life. And we know that this opioid epidemic, unfortunately, sees no color, shape, size, age. It has really grappled and gotten people of all walks of life. It could be your brother, your sister, your kid, your parent. And, we just want to be there to be able to try and save a life should the situation occur. So I don't think anyone has to worry this is going to somehow change their dining experience, their drinking, their dancing experience. It's just one more tool to help someone.
All right, thank you so much for clarifying that. Now, as somebody with an extensive background in this field, do you think workers in these positions are equipped to handle this type of situation? I know it could be a little overwhelming or maybe a little nerve-wracking, but do you think the workers are equipped to handle this?
you know, People that work in the restaurant and nightlife industry, these are professional. These are, incredible people from all walks of life. And I have no doubt that they're absolutely ready and prepared should they be called on to do something like this. But we're also have to be clear that this is a voluntary program. There is no legal requirement that a worker administer the life-saving medication. There's no legal requirement that a business carries Narcan or one of these opioid antagonist medications, as they're sometimes referred to. So I have no doubt they are beyond capable. Many of them have actually said how important this issue is to them. So they are committed to it. So I think that the workers in particular are really the leaders here in many ways on a lot of these issues. And I have no doubt that, they're more than capable. And it's totally understandable if someone was not or did not feel comfortable in the position to do something. And in that case, I have no doubt someone else would step up that may feel a little bit more comfortable. So, there's no judgments on personality traits or someone's interest or ability to do something. But overall, as an industry and a workforce, should this horrible situation arise, I think someone will step up to support.
All right, Andrew, thank you so much for bringing this information.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back.